It's the Disneyland with Kids podcast, bringing you travel tips, park tidbits, and the best Southern California travel deals. Jessica, I cannot believe it. Here we are. It's the very last day of February. We're already at the end of February.
No. Wait a second. I know two people who would be very mad if we skipped tomorrow because their birthdays are on leap day, February 29th this year.
Oh my gosh, you're right. It is leap day this year. Oh, okay. So let me think here. I think we're going to have to talk today about what we do with an extra Disney day then, because there's an extra day this year. And if I have an extra day, I know
what else
where
are
I'm
you going to do on February 29th?
right, except for celebrate birthdays for the people that only get them every 4 years. Anyways, that's what we're going to talk about today on this episode of the Disneyland with Kids podcast. I'm Becca with this crazy adventure called life.
And I'm Jessica from the Happiest Blog On Earth.
Okay, Jessica, sweet. We have an extra day this year, and let's say we're spending it at Disneyland. And this is extra, like you're adding an extra day to your trip. What are you going to do? But before we get into that, I just have to mention that our partners at Getaway Today, we have negotiated an exclusive rate with them for the Disneyland with Kids community. And you can access that rate at disneylandwithkids.info/book. And one of the specials they have is an extra day free. So go check that out. That special may not stick around for too long, but check it out. Get that deal where you get a 5-day ticket for the same price as a 4-day ticket if you were to buy the 4-day ticket at the gate. So, okay, let's go on. Jessica, you have an extra Disney day. What are you going to do with that?
Oh, the extra day, I'm probably going to slow it down and soak in all that Disney magic. I will also make sure that I get in one or two of each person's top pick that day to ride again.
Definitely. I personally would be like making sure that I fit in like shows. I love the shows at the Royal Theater. I hadn't seen them in forever, and I finally stopped one day and watched one, and they are amazing. I love the little shows that they put on there. They have the Beauty and the Beast one and the Tangled one. I've only seen Beauty and the Beast. I need to make it to see the Tangled show there.
Funny, because I think I've been the opposite.
So the shows, the entertainment like parades, and even maybe I'd use that to splurge and buy a package for a dessert party for World of Color or something like that. I know that having an extra Disneyland day is actually one of the best ways to reduce stress during your vacation, right? You and I always talk about that we always suggest a minimum of 3 days. And so why is that? Why do we suggest more days, even if you don't want to do every single ride and attraction?
Right. Well, you hit on a major point, which is a vacation. So a lot of people talk about the difference between a trip and a vacation. And I have to say that Disneyland is often a trip because you are going, you are seeing, you are doing, you are lacking sleep, all those things. But it truly can be a vacation. And most of that happens when you spread it out a little bit. I have had some really amazing vacation times at Disneyland that help us experience and enjoy everything that we want to, like, more completely.
Definitely. It's really nice when you don't feel like you have to rush and do ride. You can take time to get the pictures you want, or maybe have a sit-down dining meal that you wouldn't have done if you'd gone less days. And it also gives you that opportunity to take time out to rest, whether it's somewhere in the parks that's nice and quiet, or letting your kids explore the Disneyland play areas that we recently discussed on a podcast. Or even if it's just going back to your hotel for a nap or a dip in the pool. It's so great to not feel like you have to get things done because you paid so much to be there and you only have these many days and you want to do it all. So adding an extra day is a great way to relieve that stress. So let's say your extra day, you're going to spend it picking a dining option that you would do that normally you don't take the time on a normal trip, to book, what are you doing?
I would probably do, depending on who's there with me, but probably Carthay Circle. I don't go there a ton. I usually do it as like a special date night or like a one-on-one with a girlfriend that I haven't seen in a long time. But my kids are getting older and they can appreciate that in those type of things. And so I think they would really enjoy that. Sit down dining is one of my favorites. So we tend to make the rounds pretty regularly. But Carthay doesn't get in there very much. So I love the ambiance in there. It's just beautiful. And the service is fantastic.
Definitely. I totally agree. Carthay Circle is the top of my list as well. I also like Wine Country Trattoria. Um, we've done that when we've had an extra Disney day. And then I also like to do a character meal. Now, most of the character meals are outside of the parks, but I love the Minnie and Friends one just because it has some of those classic characters that you want to get the pictures with that, like that aren't at the other meals. Like you have Pooh and Hit Tigger and Chip and Dale and things. And those are lines that you'll avoid later. So it's kind of like you're getting two birds with one stone and you get a professional picture with Minnie. So that's nice. So normally I don't like to miss rope drop hours to go and do Minnie and Friends when I'm there with my family because they don't go as often as I do. So if we had an extra Disney day, I definitely would consider booking that for a like maybe do an hour of rope drop and then book the breakfast and just have some time to fuel up for the rest of the day and meet some characters and eat some food and just enjoy the atmosphere in Plaza Inn as well.
I love that idea so much because oftentimes you just don't want to give up those ride times. And I think every time I've done Minnie and Friends, I've always done it like an hour to 2 hours after park opening. So you really get the best of both worlds.
Another thing, if you're a big Star Wars fan, on your extra day, it's a great time to build a droid or build a lightsaber, or even, this is my kid's new favorite thing, is the bounty hunting game that you can do with your magic bands. My kids love it. They love it. And you could go around Galaxy's Edge for hours playing this game. Have you
And
done that
it's
game yet?
especially good at nighttime because the visuals are a lot better. And
Yes,
that's another great way to spend an evening at Disneyland is in Galaxy's Edge.
definitely. So have you done the game?
No, I haven't done the game. My son's done the game, and my nephew loved the game last time. He even bought himself a Magic Band, spent his souvenir money on it so that he could play, and he really enjoyed that. And when you have like a Star Wars fan or a gaming fan, those are some things that you definitely want to do. And speaking of games, the games at Pixar Pier, that's something that I never want to spend time on and also money, but my son loves those type of things. That is really fulfilling and enjoying brings joy for him. And so we do tend to do that on occasion.
Yeah, that's a great one too. And they do have one game, Lil Luna, I think it's called, where you everyone is a winner. So definitely if you're like, I don't want to do a game and I don't want to not get the money. So that's a great one. One other one that we kind of discussed last week in our skip or do is the riverboat and the sailing ship Columbia, Mark Twain Riverboat. I definitely and even the Disneyland Railroad. Those are all things that if I have the time, I just love to do them. The Sailing Ship Columbia is just relaxing to me, and it kind of points out some of the things in Disneyland that you can see from the boat. Um, but the Sailing Ship Columbia is just really cool. They have a live cannon that they fire a blank out of, but they do fire it. And you can go down below and see what the living quarters were like for people on a sailing ship. And so it's really cool. I really enjoy that one. And of course, the Design Railroad. You just get to go around, you get to sit, and you get to see some dinosaurs.
Yes, those are still there. If you haven't been to Disneyland in a long time, you might faintly remember those, and they are still there. It's between the Tomorrowland stop and the Main Street Station stop. So even if I'm not doing a full loop and I'm taking someone on the railroad who maybe hasn't been in a long time or ever at all, I want to make sure they get that segment in between Tomorrowland and Main Street. I typically use the railroad less for a mode of transportation and more for entertainment or rest. It's not
Yes,
the most effective way to get somewhere in a quick amount of time or anything like that, but it is certainly enjoyable.
definitely. Okay, so let's say we have this extra Disney day. We also have we're rich. We have money to just blow.
We're
I want to start with the smaller things. Let's talk about you could do a shopping spree. And while you're like, well, I don't need to be in the park to do a shopping spree. That's true to a degree. But I have started noticing there's a lot more stuff that you can now only get in the parks that they aren't putting at World of Disney and some of the downtown Disney locations. So I have to say that I think you need to spend some of that time looking at the shops and getting the things you want because they may not be available outside of those shops.
right. And one thing that you definitely can't purchase is a silhouette. If I had an extra day at Disneyland, I would definitely be hitting up the Silhouette Studio on Main Street. It's so affordable, but it's very popular. So depending on the time of day, you're going to have to wait your turn. It makes a beautiful display piece for your home or a gift, and you actually get two of them. So one year we did each of our kids together, three of them in one layered piece, and then we gifted them to each set of grandparents.
Oh, that's a great idea. Our friend Chris over at Provost Park Pass, he recently did a video on YouTube about the Silhouette shop. And I remember in that video, he said that he was in line and at 11:30 they came and cut the line off, saying no more. And I don't know if that was just until the break because they do close
Sure.
midday or if it was for the whole day. So definitely hit that up early in the morning. This is
Mhm.
your extra Disney day, so it's not a big deal that you're missing some
Right.
of that rope drop low wait times, and it's a great souvenir, like Jessica said. Okay, let's go bigger. The one that you and I both probably would do if we were rich. And what is that, Jessica?
Well, if it was for me, but it can't be, it'd be Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. But I think you're
Oh,
talking lightsabers.
no, not even that.
Ooh,
You're
okay.
thinking too small, Jessica, but
Thinking
those
too
are great. Let's talk
small.
about those really quick because there are a lot of parents that
I
will
know
probably
what
want
you're
those.
thinking because
Yeah,
she said I'm thinking too small, too cheap. I'm too cheap.
yeah.
I'm talking bibbidi bobbidi. What's 200? What's
Yeah.
400?
Okay, but let's
Okay.
start with because people will like those. So Bippity Boppity Boutique, that is where your kids ages 3 to 12, I believe,
Mm.
can get a makeover and they have a knights package for those that want to dress like knights, and they have a princess package. Well, several packages of these that can so they can be done up like princesses. They are gender inclusive. They don't care what gender your kid is, if that they're not like only boys can do knights and only girls can do princesses. So that's great. And we have had a lot of feedback in the Disney Kids group that they are super great about that inclusiveness. And we've also had feedback from about the natural hair for
Hmm.
those that have really curly hair. And they've been great about that. And if you have any concerns, you can always contact guest services before your trip. But it's definitely a splurge. It takes some time. So a lot of times parents don't want to do that if it's a short trip. So get that extra Disney day. We already talked a little bit about lightsabers and droids. But Jessica, come on. I'm talking like the mother load of splurges.
The VIP tour guide.
Yes. Okay, so this is one that actually this is something you may splurge on if you're only going one day as well and you really want
True.
to get it all done and you just have money to spend. But these are on average, I'm just giving the average, it's like $700 to $800 an hour. I know it can be cheaper or more expensive depending on when you're booking it. And there's a minimum of how many hours, Jessica?
6, I believe.
6 or 7 hours, and it can be up to 10 hours. But the price includes up to 10 people, but you do still have to buy your tickets. Um, to the parks. So it's really expensive, but you get a faster access to most attractions. You also they'll grab your food for you. It's like having your own personal guide. Like this is the celebrity treatment almost. Celebrities get a little
Mhm.
bit more than we
Mhm.
do, but yeah, it's something that's on my bucket list. We have lots of friends that have done it in the recent years. Um, but I know for me and Jessica, when we do it, it wouldn't be about getting on all the rides. For us, because we go often, it's more about they have so much Disney knowledge that they can share with you about the parks. So Jessica, what would you do with that? Like if you had the tour guide for a day, what would you spend it doing?
I would probably go on most of the classic attractions, earlier attractions, like from opening into probably 70s and stuff like that, just to have more historical talking points because I love to hear about all the different changes that has gone through the park and things like that. So that would be really fun.
Definitely. And I would use it to ride Peter Pan as many times as I wanted without waiting 40 minutes in line. Because at Disneyland,
Yeah,
we do not
see
have
how many
like,
times you can ride it in 40 minutes instead of
yes.
waiting.
Okay, but that's a really expensive one. For those of you that maybe want a taste of that and don't want to spend that much money or that much time on your extra Disney day, they do offer guided tours with different themes depending on the time of year. And they usually range around $100 to $200 per person. My personal favorite is the one they change the name so often, so I'm probably going to get it wrong. The Walk in Walt's Disneyland Footsteps Tour. Is that the current name?
Winner.
Okay,
Yes.
yay. And you actually get to go into Walt's apartment and it's amazing. But those are the things I would spend my extra Disney day doing, but I want to know what you guys would be doing on your extra Disney day. Don't forget you can score those extra day free tickets by visiting disneylandwithkids.info/book, and we will see you next week.